So, bottom line, guys, they had to find a replacement for John Moxley, and they went with Miro. I thought this was actually a good decision. Originally, I didn't think they were gonna go ahead and if they would have just advanced Orange Cassidy straight to the finals and said John Moxley had to forfeit on account of the issue that's going on in his personal life, I would have been okay with that. I think Orange Cassidy versus Bryan Danielson would have been a really good matchup, but this match actually seems a little bit better, simply because of the fact that we have a heel versus face type role going on for this match. Besides all that, Miro is a big guy, and he dwarfs fucking Bryan Danielson. So this could be a great way to put an obstacle in front of Bryan Danielson, making him the ultimate underdog, kind of similar to what they did at WrestleMania 30. Not as great as that, but in the sense of like putting him as an underdog, which is when Bryan Danielson wrestles at his best, is when he's the underdog in a match. And will shock everyone in the situation. I think that him being able to be placed in the game over camel clutch type maneuver and figuring out a way to overcome that and actually reverse it into the Bella Lock will be an amazing idea to apply into the finale of that match. I'm really looking forward to that match, actually. I think that match is going to be a very superb and entertaining match and a great opportunity to put Miro in such a high elevated type of match that I've never seen Miro in before outside of winning the TNT Championship. Besides that, what he's done in WWE in the past is nothing compared to what Miro is going to do at Full Gear in about a week or two. So this is going to be a very, very important match for Miro, more than Bryan Danielson, if you really want to get technical. So whether he wins or loses, which I actually at this point would say let him win. But others would say, well, what about Bryan Danielson, keeping him on a winning streak and so forth? I don't know. It's a really tough decision on who I would go with in the finals. And that's what makes this match actually really entertaining, because either one of them are well deserving of a win and moving into a world championship opportunity. There's a lot of different things going on here that is, important for either one of these guys. I really don't want to see Hangman Page face Bryan Danielson, and I want Hangman Page to win. I think Miro would be the right heel character for Hangman Page to face. And it would be a great obstacle for Hangman Page to overcome, because personally, Hangman Page is not exactly a big name. If you're a hardcore wrestling fan and you follow the indies a lot, you know who Hangman Page is. But as a general, mainstream wrestling fan that watched WWE and whatever came on AEW, that is what you would know. You wouldn't know anything about Hangman Page personally, which is a great thing because of the fact that if you put him up against a guy like Miro and he gets a big win over a large muscular man like Miro, and he's playing the heel role, making him the underdog, and he overcomes all that, that's going to make his reign as champion that much special. Especially that being his first title defense in his career. I don't believe you would ever put Bryan Danielson and Hangman Page on a free televised show. Personally, I would actually see these two on a pay-per-view or some sort. So if you really want to get technical, I'd actually postpone Bryan Danielson challenging for the AEW World Championship. Give it to Miro for an opportunity to win, and then face Hangman Page to ultimately lose, but lose in good fashion, not lose like a pathetic loser and look pathetic in the loss. That's just how I feel. And then drop him back down to the TNT Championship and let him go after that title and get it back from Sammy Guevara. I think Sammy Guevara and Miro would make a great rivalry. I think that's what they ought to do, is have them compete over that title and make them a really good rival to one another. So that's how I feel about that. But getting off of all Miro stuff and the finals of the TNT Championship opportunity, I would say the rest of the show is pretty solid. I don't think the rest of the show is trash. Christian Cage attacking Adam Cole and doing a concerto was actually rather surprising. I couldn't believe that they actually had Adam Cole eat a chair shot on the show like that. Christian Cage going up against Adam Cole in a one-on-one match at Full Gear. I would actually go for that. I really would. I don't think that would be a bad match. I think that would be fucking entertaining as hell. So yeah, I mean, I would be all for that. The match that kickstarted this show actually was, let me think here, I'm trying to remember what the fuck happened on this show, because there was a lot of stuff that took place. Very first match was Kenny Omega going against Alan Angels, or Alan V. Angels. This match was okay. It was actually kind of decent in the fact that they highlighted this jobber and made him into something ultimately, though losing the match anyway, so it didn't really make a difference. But they made the man noticeable. People actually found him to be, they were actually getting behind this guy, which is kind of strange, but at the same time, interesting. But eventually it led to him losing, getting the 1, 2, 3, getting a multiple knee triggers to Alan Angels' head, and that was that. After the match, though, Kenny gets on the mic and he said that he embarrassed him. He tells Nakazawa to give him a chair, and Kenny plans to injure him. He goes for the OWA on the One Wing Angel on the chair, but Hangman's music hits. Out comes the number one contender. Omega has the chair, and V grabs it, and then Page goes for the buckshot lariat, but Kenny evades and he retreats up the ramp. Page grabs hold of the mic and Kenny's belt, and he lays the belt down and tells Kenny he's got 10 days to hold on to it, so enjoy it while it lasts. It's revealed that Jon Moxley is also replacement was Miro, which I already mentioned. We cut a Malachi Black promo. He reminds Cody that Marcus wasn't the only one to betray Julius Caesar. Nothing special there. And then we had a segment with CM Punk. We always seem to have a segment. CM Punk never misses a week of pro wrestling on AEW. I mean, there's a lot of wrestlers that come on this show and they perform, and they do not perform every single week or even make an appearance every single week. I mean, if you look at Darby Allin, who's one of the future bright stars in this company, he doesn't even appear every single week on this show. Hell, not even Sting does every single week, making an appearance. But CM Punk, this motherfucker every single week is making an appearance, whether it's wrestling in the ring or making a conversation in the middle of the ring in front of an audience. And he's always jumping in the crowd. But this time around, he didn't do that here on this episode for November 3rd. He actually went ahead and stood in the ring and cut a serious promo. First off, he brought up about the situation with Jon Moxley. He says he really feels bad for Jon Moxley and is concerned of his well-being and his health. And he also encouraged other people, if you have issues with addiction and stuff, don't be shy and do something about it. Do something about your problem. Do not go ahead and keep giving in to your addiction. It will kill you. No doubt about that, man. I do not agree with addiction. It's one thing to enjoy something such as alcohol, but it's not okay to overindulge on it. It is a real stupid idea. It will fuck you up. And alcohol is one of the most dangerous addictions in the world outside of other serious hardcore drugs. That's not even legal. So personally, I don't feel like that stuff you should touch it all that much, especially if you have an addictive personality. Me, it's easy for me not to get addicted to alcohol because all I got to think about is how much money I'm giving to drink all this fucking alcohol, and two, how fucked up I'm going to feel after I drink all of it. It's not going to feel good. I'm going to throw up. I'll wake up with a hangover. I don't want to deal with that shit. So getting addicted to alcohol is very, very hard for me to do because of all the other situations and consequences you have to face dealing with the addiction of alcohol. So that's my reason why I can't get addicted to alcohol, and I'm glad I don't. I'd rather be addicted to other things that can't really harm me as bad as alcohol can, or any other drug for that matter. Basically, he addresses that he wishes Jon Moxley a lot of luck and hopes he overcomes these addictions and gets well very soon so he can come back and do what he loves. He doesn't have a great relationship with Jon Moxley, but he doesn't wish him any harm or bad luck either. The other thing he addresses is Eddie Kingston from what he did on Rampage last week, which I absolutely loved. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. I would agree with a lot of people that may have not liked the segment, but the idea on paper between Eddie Kingston and CM Punk as CM Punk's opponent for Full Gear, love the idea. We could get a really good hardcore match out of this and a real good grueling match between these two. So I definitely would be interested in seeing these two guys compete. But yeah, he really didn't appreciate the idea of Eddie Kingston getting in the middle of his interview backstage Friday night. Thought it was unprofessional, and he thought it was very rude of him to do that just because he lost the match to Bryan Danielson. So he would like an apology, or he wouldn't mind just kicking his fucking ass. So that's pretty much what took place there. I do believe they mentioned that this is going to take place on Rampage or next week's Dynamite. I'm not sure which one it's going to be. Yeah, it's Dynamite. So those two will go face to face with each other in a confrontation. They had a segment with Miro. He cut a promo, and is his God trying to help him or anger him with this tournament spot? In this tournament, his God needs to prove himself to him. Miro needs to prove himself to his wife, and then he'll forgive his God. So I don't know what the fuck this really is. I don't understand why he would be cutting a promo about him being forsaken by God. You lost the fucking match. I mean, what's your fucking problem? I mean, you couldn't beat Sammy Guevara. That's your issue, man. Not God's, man. Get the fuck out of here, man. That bullshit. All right. So, we also got the Super Click backstage with Alex Marvez, but gets flanked by Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. They brawl into the arena, and suddenly Jungle Boy appears to dive into his enemies. Cage spears Matt Jackson on the stage and goes for kill switch. But Nick saves his brother and super kick Adam and saves his brother with a super kick. Adam Cole crawls down the entryway as Luchasaurus has hold of the Bucks. JB, I'm really getting confused here. Alright, whatever. Well, anyway, they pretty much get their asses kicked, and this eventually led to Adam Cole getting the concerto by Christian Cage, and that's how that segment went off the air pretty much. Next was a match for the AAA tag team titles. We actually had Kalisto come back in pro wrestling under a different name. I believe it was Samurai del Sol and Aerostar, who was his partner, going up against FTR for their tag team titles from AAA, and FTR retained their tag team championships. And that's how that match went off the air. Or how that match ended, anyway. Last week, Tony Schiavone was presenting Hikaru Shida with her 50-win trophy, but Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero interrupt to taunt her, and Rose says how much she's looking forward to facing Hikaru and her burn knee in the TBS tournament for the TBS Women's Championship. We also get a segment that was actually funny. This was downright fucking hilarious. The Inner Circle with Chris Jericho are now having to pick the 3 members of America Top Team to go up against the Inner Circle with fucking Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. So the picks they made was Junior Dos Santos, Andre Arlovsky, and then for the final pick, they were making a mockery out of this. This was actually very comedic and funny. They were going to possibly go with one of the 2 Bellator fighters that are undefeated and 16-0. And then her name is Paige I forgot her name. She used to fight in UFC. I think she retired from UFC, or she's just not fighting right now. She's taking a break from MMA. But Paige Vacanti, I believe is her name. I know her first name is Paige. And she went ahead and she said, hey, I don't need any man to fight my battles. I can take all 5 of you on. And I swear, when she said that, I really thought Jericho was going to say, wow, we know. You probably could take us all on your back. I really thought he was going to go there in a sexual reference there, but he didn't. He actually referred to Dan Lambert as being the final member of the tag team that they would be facing. Lambert was bouncing up and down, acting like a child as if they didn't get what they wanted, and he looked fucking ridiculous. I don't know how you go from being a snot-nosed asshole who cuts excellent promos to being a whining, crying little bitch. I mean, seriously, he's jumping up and down like a child who didn't get what he wanted. I want my toy, and him just jumping up and down in a toy store. That's what he looked like, a fucking child not getting a toy he wanted. It was just utterly ridiculous. I hope that he is the one that eats the pin. I hope no one else does. I hope he gets his ass kicked. He's just been, the last two weeks or so, he's been fucking annoying and downright pathetic. And I just want to see his ass get kicked and then pinned, because he is a fucking joke. But that's pretty much what went on there. We had Matt Sydal even, is with Lee Marathi, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Dante Martin, Leo Rush. They make the announcement that there's going to be a tag team between these 2 teams, so that will be taking place at some point. We had Jamie Hayter go up against Anna Jay. Jamie Hayter wins this match. Brett's team attacks Anna Jay until Tay Conte comes in for the save. And the numbers game, however, comes into play. Brett goes for a curb stomp on the women's championship until Thunder Rosa runs in to the ring to even the odds. Now, I don't know about you, but I think Thunder Rosa is overdue for this women's championship. I don't know what the fuck she's competing for a mid-card title for women's division, but whatever the case may be, I guess, is what it's going to be at this point. But I think she's more well-deserving to be in the World Championship opportunity for the women's title than being for a mid-card title with the TBS belt. So, whatever it is what it is. Alright. Next thing we have is the MJF segment. This MJF segment was probably one of the best segments on the entire show. The only thing that comes close to that is CM Punk's segment. I think his was more serious and very heartfelt type of moment that I enjoyed. This was actually really good between Darby Allin and MJF. I mean, like, these two cut a beautiful promo here. MJF stated the obvious. Darby Allin's an outcast. He's different than most people. He acts weird. He looks weird. He's out of place, pretty much, is what he points out. He doesn't do a whole lot of great insulting in this. He talks real. He says, you know something? You and I are actually the future stars of this company. He states the fucking truth. He gives Darby Allin a compliment in this whole entire segment, even though he doesn't like the guy. And I think that was excellent. He also mentioned that I used to get mad when the fans didn't cheer me, but they cheered you. It used to keep me up at night. He's showing frustration and telling the audience that he actually did care at one point that the fans cheered him or not. It bothered him. He felt that that was something that meant, he felt it was important. I think that's great. We could eventually see MJF turn as a face and play a good role as that. I mean, he could play a fucking dickhead as a face. I mean, Mr. Anderson from TNA did that. He was playing a prick and turned into a fucking asshole, and people embraced it and thought it was funny. I did too. I thought it was a great gimmick that they had him do on that show. Something that WWE refused to do, something similar to that. And he was great, but whatever, man. It is what it is. By the end of his career, though, I will admit, and I know this is going a little off the rails from AEW, but Mr. Anderson / Mr. Kennedy, I actually enjoyed in the beginning stages. By the time he got to the end of his time with TNA, he really went off the rails. He became boring and bland as shit. I will admit that, and I've seen him in an indie show. He is so out of shape. He looks disgusting, number one. Number two, he has turned into a terrible professional wrestler. I don't know what the fuck happened to him, but he was a hell of a lot better in WWE and in the beginning stages of TNA when he was with them. But as time went on, he got worse and worse and worse and became absolute trash. So I'm not going to stand up for Mr. Anderson and say he was a great wrestler, because at the end of his time being in mainstream television, he became fucking garbage. But whatever. Anyway, let's continue on with this. But MJF, yeah, he was cutting a beautiful promo. Darby Allin said, look, you know something? I am not going to go into this pay-per-view with a skateboard and destroy you. I'm going to hold back on all that stuff at the pay-per-view, and I'm actually going to have a wrestling match with you. But for tonight, I'm going to beat the living shit out of you, is basically what he said. So he went down to the ring, and MJF was getting a little concerned. He left the ring, and he was trying to go up the ramp to retreat, and Sting showed up with another group of people wearing MJF masks, which I thought was a little strange, but I guess it's part of the act that they were doing with Darby Allin, making fun of MJF. So they went ahead and went with that, and he's basically being forced to go back into the ring, and Darby Allin just beats the living shit out of this guy. He throws him outside. Well, actually, no, I'm wrong. No. What happened was MJF started going towards the audience to get out of the arena that way, and Darby Allin was standing in front of him, and it was like the fans were parting, like the fans were the Red Sea, and they were parting as the Red Sea for Darby Allin and MJF to just beat the living shit out of each other. So this led to them brawling in the middle of the audience. I swear to you folks, I thought one of the fans were going to get punched by accident. They were way too fucking close. I remember I was at a pay-per-view for Extreme Rules in 2011, and they had Cody Rhodes and Rey Mysterio going ahead and having a full-on street fight that led all the way out to the outside of the arena, where you can go to the concession stands and everything nearby, by the level that we were at. And I wanted to go see this, and they would not let any of the fans nearby any of the action. They did not want them to get possibly injured, which I totally agreed with. But just being able to see them up close and watching them beat the shit out of each other in a choreographed wrestling match would have been freaking awesome to see. But unfortunately, they weren't allowing anyone up there, so we had to watch it on the freaking big screen in the arena, which absolutely sucked. But the match was great. I enjoyed that one. And these fans were just all around him, and I was wondering, are these fans going to get whacked possibly by accident? Because Darby Allin almost hit one of them by accident, but they managed to avoid from doing anything that would have harmed the fans that were in the audience. And this led to Darby Allin pretty much beating MJF senseless, putting him down in by the barricade, having him lay down, basically sitting on the ground. And Darby Allin went ahead and he kind of took a couple of feet back and then charged at him and drop kicked him right in the chest, which, man, that had to fucking hurt. Pretty much at that point, one thing led to another, and MJF managed to run away and get out of the whole situation there. So Cody Rhodes goes up against Andrade El Idolo. I forgot how to pronounce the fucking last name. El Idolo. Whatever the fuck his damn last name is. I can't even pronounce it. Sound like a fucking retard. Anyway. This match was good. For some strange reason, though, FTR was involved in the middle of this match. I don't know what the fuck FTR is doing with Andrade. FTR is part of the Pinnacle. What is Andrade, Malachi Black, and the Pinnacle all have some sort of, alliance with each other? Are they all in cahoots with one another? I don't know why MJF would have anything to do with Malachi Black, but alright, whatever. They get involved in this match somehow. They roll out of underneath the ring. They hit the Cody with the fucking championship belt. And then Andrade pulls him into the ring, hits his modified DDT and spikes him right on his fucking head, pins him 1, 2, 3, and that's the end of the match. Overall, the action was pretty good. Definitely a pay-per-view type style matchup. I actually enjoyed this match for what it was. And Andrade wins. I'm surprised Cody put him over. I thought he was going to lose. But unfortunately, that was not the case. And then, main event was Orange Cassidy versus Miro with about 6 minutes left, and Miro wins the match. Most of the time, Miro was losing this match. He ends up getting about a couple of moves in, and then he wins the match with the game over camel clutch maneuver, and tilts Orange Cassidy back on his back and wears him out pretty badly, makes him tap out immediately because the pressure on his back was too much for him to bear. And that was it. The match was over. Miro stood up tall and got the victory. Bryan Danielson got in the middle of the ring, stuck his hand out to him to do a professional handshake for them to compete at Full Gear for the finals, for the opportunity to compete for the world title at some point. And Miro refused to shake his hand, and the show went off the air, and that was that. So that is your review, guys. This was the very end of this review, and this was a good show. I don't have any major complaints about it. I think they did a solid job for what they did. I think Christian Cage versus Adam Cole would be a great matchup for them to add to the card. I think that I think we got a solid card. Really, to be honest with you, I mean, I can go ahead right now and take a look at what Full Gear's card looks like. Let me go ahead real quick and give you guys my insight on that. Because there's only a couple of major matches I'm really aware of. The rest of the card I'm kind of just learning as I go. But let me read off what I see on this card that's been announced so far. And let you guys know how I feel about it. One thing that I kind of like is they got this event taking place at the Target Center, which is a place that WWE has gone to on a regular basis before. So that's kind of cool. And so let's go over this card. We have Miro and Bryan Danielson in the main event, in the finals between these two, competing over who's going to get the opportunity for the World Championship in the future. We then have Kenny Omega defending the World Championship against Hangman Page. No surprise there. Britt Baker is defending her title against Tay Conte. The Inner Circle will be facing the Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, with America's Top Team, Junior Dos Santos, Andre Arlovsky, and Dan Lambert. And then we have the Lucha Brothers are going to defend the tag team titles against FTR. Darby Allin's going up against MJF, very good match, and Eddie Kingston CM Punk apparently has been added to this card, even though they're supposedly having a confrontation face-to-face. I could imagine there's only 7 matches, so I could imagine they'll add one more to this card, and I think Adam Cole and Christian Cage will be that added match to this card. I would be fine with that. I don't think there's any issues with that. I don't think anybody would debate that with anyone who would like that idea being an extra match like that being added to this card. This card is already stacked as it is, but it's a 4-hour show in most cases, so I mean, giving these two guys an opportunity to shine together on a pay-per-view like this, I think would be a great thing for them to do. So I can imagine them probably going forth and adding them to this card. But overall, yeah, this card doesn't look bad. I love the Darby Allin MJF match. Definitely looking forward to that. The World Championship match is great. Miro and Bryan Danielson should be a great finals match. The Inner Circle should demolish America's Top Team and the Men of the Year. I think that would be obvious. CM Punk and Eddie Kingston, I don't think this should be a regular, ordinary singles match. This should be a no-holds-barred matchup, grueling match. These two guys both bleeding to death and pretty much going really like Ring of Honor, old school type wrestling here. I remember back in the day when I watched CM Punk when he was in Ring of Honor, he did some really hardcore shit. And I would just absolutely love to see this type of matchup take place with these two guys. I think they would deliver heavily and probably be the undercard of the night compared to what else is on this card. Nobody would expect these two guys to pull off a match of the night, but I think they could if they turned it into a hardcore match. That's just my opinion, but you let me know what you guys think about that. Otherwise, the rest of this card is pretty solid. It's got some good mid-card matches going on. There's not a whole lot of... there's only 3 titles on the line. The TNT has got the night off because of the Inner Circle competing as a team. So, I mean, I really don't have a whole lot of complaints about this card. This should be an exciting event. Possibly better than All Out. I think All Out was solid, but this card could possibly top that, especially with the added on talent that's going to be able to compete in this match or in this show. Like Bryan Danielson actually getting his first pay-per-view match for AEW will be a whole lot of exciting stuff taking place. And with two former WWE superstars going at it one-on-one, I think will be a great opportunity for everyone to see that WWE fucked up with these two guys. Not so much Bryan Danielson, but definitely Miro. I mean, I think people have already realized that, seeing what he has done in AEW. I mean, at first he started off pretty bad, but after he got away from Kip Sabian, he really turned it around and made the best of his time as a singles wrestler. And him winning this tournament, again, like I said, would probably be the best idea for them to go with, because Hangman Page is a face, and I imagine that Hangman Page will win this championship. I don't think they give him an opportunity and then just take it away from him. I think that would be absolutely fucking stupid. So that's just my attitude on that. I don't think Kenny Omega is going to retain just so he can face Bryan Danielson again. I think that would be fucking stupid. I really do. I don't like the idea of Bryan Danielson getting an opportunity and maybe even winning it from Kenny Omega. I'm just sorry. I cannot go with that idea whatsoever. I think Hangman Page is the best person to go with. I think he's got the best payoff of all of this. He deserves it. He's worked hard for it. He's paid his dues for a very long time in the indies. He's done a lot here in AEW, and he's just given everything he had for the audience. He's built a great story with his feeling bad for himself, drinking, having issues with his friends and everything else. He's had a 2-year build. 2 years. 2 years of a build of his character between losing his friendship with with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes and so forth. I mean, like, everybody he's dealt with has totally discontinued any relationship with this guy. He's went on a drinking binge. He's been through ups and downs. This is the ultimate payoff they can do for him with this character. By making him lose again when he competed for it the first time ever for a world title, for the crown, the first ever AEW World Champion, would be the dumbest mistake AEW could possibly do. You cannot explain to me how or what they would be doing by getting a big payoff by not giving the title to Hangman Page. I mean, that is just the dumbest fucking move you can possibly do. It's just my opinion, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hit the like button if you like this video, and of course, as always, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. I thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great night, guys. Bye.